Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is your House of NFT Daily Dose for November 2nd, 2020. And I was lucky enough today to speak to Vincent Geneste from the Phantasma core team about NFT self-minting. This is a really exciting interview. I had a great time, and I really appreciate Vincent stopping by. Hope you guys enjoy. Hello, everyone. I am joined by Vincent Geneste from the Phantasma team, Phantom Force, and we are going to talk about Phantasma NFT self-minting. I'm super excited about this. I can't wait to mint my own NFTs, and we're going to go ahead and assume that the audience knows what we're talking about. We're not going to go over the basics, so don't worry about that. The first thing I want to know is, do you know when this is going to be happening, or is that still under wraps as far as when it's going to go live?
Hi, so first I'm very glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. So I'm not the guy who usually says deadline because especially in this space, it's hard to first stick to them. And second, you can be disappointed if you don't stick to them. So, but I'd say we're 90% done technically. So I'm hoping for something within 2 weeks-ish.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, that's wonderful. And so you are the one who made the Poltergeist wallet and all of that, and you've done a lot on Phantasma. Should we just go over that quick so people have some background and know?
Yeah, sure. So I'm very involved in everything neo-related since 4 years. And this is how I started playing and being involved with Phantasma. So about 1.5 years ago, I did Phantasma DApp contest with a friend, and we won it. So since then, I started playing with Phantasma ecosystem. So this is not Poltergeist I made. Actually, this is Phantom Wallet, which is a bit still a beta. We're working on a new native version, but I'm also involved in Poltergeist now because since about, 6+ months, I'm also part of Phantasma team per se. Okay. Before I was more like a independent contributor, but now I'm fully part of the team. So I have some kind of hybrid role in the sense that I'm both part of the team and I run independent platform. Like Ghost Market is not officially from Phantasma, it's from me and 2 or 3 people, which happen to also be part of Phantasma team. But technically, it's not a Phantasma project because in Ghost Market case, it's more than Phantasma, given it's a cross-chain platform. Phantasma is obviously the biggest one because we have some kind of control over it since we are core developers. So we were able to basically tailor the NFT standard to what we think is important. So this is a perfect opportunity for us. We can both develop the platform and the standard itself. Wow. to better fit future needs, basically.
Yeah, anyway, I think that's one thing that people don't realize about Phantasma. This is kind of a custom-made NFT blockchain, and the mainnet has been out since October 2019, and now it's already been upgraded. So you have other projects talking about launching a mainnet, but that's just going to be their first iteration. You guys have already really improved upon it greatly, and are into the next generation.
I'd say when people ask me about Phantasma, this is the first thing I say. The fact that it's more recent than, let's say, ETH or NEO is actually what makes it strong, because we could build up taking all other projects and blockchain strengths and or weaknesses and build on that, first to avoid the issue, and second to be completely native to the platform. Like, just let's give an example, but even on ETH, the NFT standard are great, but it's not a native feature. It's something added on top, which a project have to follow. But on Phantasma case, this is a native feature. You don't have to follow a standard per se to be able to mint NFT. It's a chain feature.
I see.
And it's quite a big difference.
So that actually works very well with my first question here. So Phantasma, we talked about, is leader in the gaming NFT space. So, of course, it seems like a no-brainer to mint art NFTs. And, of course, you can have any kind of unlockable content, right? Like when you go on Rarible or one of the ones that are popular now on Ethereum, you can have unlockable, video, music, whatever you want to put in there. And, you just basically, it's like a URL. You store it in your, on your website, in your Google Drive or whatever. And then when the person buys it, it unlocks that. And so, obviously, all of that would apply for Phantasma as well, right?
Yes. So this particular feature is probably something we won't have day one. Not that it's complex or whatever. It's just that we have to make some choices at one point if we want to launch.
Okay, well, for unlockable content, I think you might be thinking of something beyond what is possible on these platforms, because
Yes.
I know that Phantasma, the project has talked about having storage as part of the blockchain from the beginning, right? That is not happening on Rarible or any of these, right? All it's unlocking is some text, which gives you like a URL. For example, you can share a link to your Google Drive where you have this high definition version of the JPEG there that the person can download because they have that Google Drive link. And that's all the unlockable content is. There's no actual hidden content on Rarible or in the NFT itself on Ethereum, right?
Yeah, so that's two things. First, back to your unlockable feature. Why this is important, personally, I don't think it's that important because it's a one-time unlock. If you unlock it and someone shares your link, it's gone. It's not a locked content anymore. It's publicly available. So it's not a perfect solution, is what I'm saying.
I see.
Second thing is, yes, on let's say ETH, because it's the biggest one, you can't store on-chain data. I mean, you can, but first, it's limited. And secondly, it's very expensive, like freaking expensive. So that's one thing. Basically, it all comes down to the same reason. ETH started a long time ago, and this was not part of the original needs. NFT didn't even exist back then. So it's been added on top of other existing features, and the whole storing NFT data on chain didn't even exist back then. So anyway, my point is, on Phantasma, yes, we have a native smart contract, which is basically a storage smart contract. And when you mint an NFT on Phantasma, you can decide, okay, do I want my data to be fully on chain? Do I want my data to be completely off-chain? No one wants that, but you could. Or some kind of hybrid model. Because even though Phantasma has advantages, storing everything on-chain has a cost. It's also a bit more complex for a project, at least, to set up. I'm not talking about end-user minting, because this should be seamless and transparent for them. But for a project, depending where they store data, there are pros and cons. Like, storing everything on-chain is great, but it's storing everything on-chain, meaning you can't change anything. So if for some reason, I don't know, if you stored an image, a link on-chain, and for whatever reason, this link points to a server externally, and this server broke, and you wanted to change this URL, you just can't because it's on-chain. So you have to think a lot when you design an NFT project. What do you really want, and what data you want to be mutable versus immutable? It's totally different.
I see. Okay. So in this case, we have the Phantasma core team working on this. For Ethereum, of course, we have groups like Rarible or whoever have come along, and that's, I'm assuming, because non-fungible tokens are so central to everything Phantasma is doing. And you kind of answered that, I guess, a little bit, where you talked about how the chain is even kind of custom made for this. And so I know there's a lot happening with Phantasma, and this is just one small part, but what were the specific goals the team had for this self-minting project? Is there something about the way that Phantasma does it that's different from how others have implemented self-minting NFTs, or features that others may not have?
So again, just to clarify, the self-minting feature you're mentioning, this is not a Phantasma core feature. This is a Ghost Market feature.
It's through Ghost Market.
For one particular reason, it's the chain already supports that since 1 year. So on the Phantasma side of things, it's done. You can
Right.
already mint since 1 year. Everything works perfectly. We might need a few adjustments or chain upgrade, whatever, sure. But the feature itself is already there. So that being said, in our case, Ghost Market, what we wanted to do is basically allow all advanced features when it comes to minting NFT, accessible very easily for end users. So kind of what all other chains do. But at the same time, we wanted to integrate some chains particular advanced feature, like, for example, engine style backed assets NFT. This is something we've added. It's part of the standard, actually, in Phantasma. So basically, you can infuse an NFT with either other NFTs and or regular assets. Like you could say, I want to mint this NFT and specify a minimum value of 1,000 Sol. So it kind of gives you minimum price for your NFT. And you could also think of it like, okay, I have a game, I want to give away a prize. Instead of sending 1,000 Sol, you could be sending one NFT, which in itself could be burned. And that way you can redeem a specific amount of tokens. That's just one way to do it. So this is one feature specific to Engine. We added that natively to Phantasma. Another one would be the whole royalty feature. Basically, this is what is important. One of the things which is important for art NFTs.
Absolutely.
Same thing. This one is part of the standard. What else do we have?
So you can set a percentage that the original creator would get when it resells?
Yes. So basically, on each NFT, before I say this, I want to specify one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is one concept which is unique to Phantasma. It's a whole concept of ROM and RAM. Each NFT has basically two storage embedded within the NFT. One is immutable, it's a ROM, and one is mutable, it's a RAM. So what it allows is that when you mint an NFT, you can specify NFT-related data either in a smart contract or directly in the NFT itself. This is something unique about Phantasma. No other chain has that. All other chains, when they want to mint an NFT, everything happens in a smart contract. The NFT themselves are done in other chain. But in Phantasma, there are some kind of smart NFT. So let's say in the case of royalty, when you mint an NFT, what you do actually is you specify this is the creator, this is the percentage of commission, and these two fields are written in the NFT immutable storage, meaning first, anyone can query and verify it's true. And secondly, you don't even have to query the smart contract to know that. You can just query one NFT, and that's it. It's technically there are other features related to that, but at a high level, it's very different. So for the royalties, that's what happened. Basically, every time an NFT gets transferred, some smart contract checks, okay, does this NFT has a creator? Does it have a specific percentage of commission? If yes, do this. So it basically queries all NFT individually on transfers.
Well, I'm sure any developers who are watching are already coming up with all kinds of use cases for this smart NFT. That's something that maybe Phantasma should use. That I like that phrase, smart NFT, maybe for marketing or something. To differentiate it, because not all of NFTs are that smart, right?
No,
and of course, it's
just an ID. It's an ID in a contract with some property, and that's it. The NFT itself does nothing besides proving who owns it.
Okay. And so with the infusing or wrapping other tokens, that's something that's been possible, I think, for a while. Is that what a multi-layer NFT is, or is that when you include other NFTs in an NFT?
Yes. So this is something Gotti has been using for 22 racing series. Basically, you can have one NFT which represents a car, and you could burn this NFT, which would basically trigger a generation of, let's say, 25 unique NFT, which were the core part of the car. And you can also do the reverse, where you have 25 unique pieces, which you can melt together, and then you build a custom NFT. So
Is
in
that
both,
something that is available anywhere else, or is that unique to Phantasma? That sounds amazing.
I don't think it's available somewhere else, at least not on simplified way.
Wow.
You might be able to do the same on ETH with advanced smart contracts and such, but I don't think it's something very well developed, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so right now, with the self minting, it'll be possible to infuse Sol and Kcal. And is it also possible to infuse, say, Ethereum or ERC20 tokens or anything like that?
So at first, when we go live, we'll be able to infuse any Phantasma assets. So that's either Sol, Kcal, even ETH or Neo or Gas, because those are corresponding assets on Phantasma. When you swap, you get Phantasma equivalent of ETH, some kind of wrapped version, but it's a native asset in Phantasma. So all this can be infused in an NFT. Yes,
That's amazing. And that would be nice to infuse some gas or something with it. That might be a very useful application, that's for sure.
Exactly. And later, but again, not because it's difficult or whatnot, more like we have to define priorities. The same way we infuse regular assets, you can infuse NFT within NFT.
Okay, and that'll be available right away, or?
No, not day one. Like
not
I said,
day one. Okay.
mostly because we want to do things properly and we don't want to rush this. But it's not a technical blocker or whatever. It's exactly the same thing. Instead of infusing 10 Sol, you can infuse one of this NFT ID.
Yeah, and just to be clear, I always want to make this distinction. That would be, it is available on the chain level, and it is being done, right? With the NFTs being infused, right? Because you have the multi-layer NFTs already in 22 series.
Yes.
But it's just not in the self-minting interface yet.
Yes, again, like I mentioned earlier, it's also all related to how you construct your project. Like in Gothi's case, have a lot of stuff off-chain, which is totally normal, and which is how 99% of projects do it on blockchain. It's mostly because in their case, all of that is tied to a game. So they have their own backend, basically an API which ties the NFT and the in-game assets. So this all can't live on-chain. It has to be in between blockchain and their game server, but all of that is doable in multiple scenarios. Like I said, you can store data completely off-chain, on-chain, or in between. But yes, chain side, you can do whatever you want.
Very exciting. Okay, so the NFTs that are created, what marketplaces? This will be on Ghost Market, right? Yes, so, but is there going to be a way to, transfer these back and forth? And are Ethereum NFTs going to be at some point, transferring back and forth between the Phantasma chain? That's one of the great features of Phantasma, right? Is its integration with Ethereum and all of that.
Yeah. So again, it's another feature which Phantasma has and other chains do not have. Basically, on Phantasma, there's a concept of native smart contracts. It's also related to the fact that Phantasma is much more recent. So when Genesis block was deployed, it already had like 15 native smart contracts. One of them being a marketplace smart contract, which is the one we are currently using on Ghost Market. It's not a custom-made smart contract. It's just a chain native smart contract, which has limitation, but which work pretty well. We are actually working on deploying a new custom one for the self-minting solution, which will act both as an advanced trading contract and also a minting contract. But my point is, what we are using right now is a chain native one. So this one can only support native Phantasma assets. That being said, we are working in the short/medium term on a NFT swap solution. The same way we do let's say ETH or Sol swaps from ETH to Phantasma and the reverse, you can swap one NFT from ETH to Phantasma and the reverse. It has limitation and consideration. It's not an easy swap because it's an NFT. So, for example, when you mint an NFT, whether it's on Phantasma or ETH, you have to mint it on a specific contract. So let's say, I don't know, let's take Gods Unchained example.
Yeah.
If we wanted to mint a Phantasma NFT and swap it back to ETH on their contract, we would need their approval, or they would be the one needing to do it. So at one point, we'll have to collaborate with projects themselves if we want to cross-chain swaps NFT. Let's say, so it depends. Let's say in Gothi's case, given they already run the Phantasma side of things for their contract, if they wanted to deploy an ETH contract, they would be the one involved, and they could swap their NFT from Phantasma to ETH. And in this case, it would be fully transparent because they're involved in the two chains, two sides of the swaps, you know. But if you don't want to rely on the project, you could still swap it. The only thing is that it would be some kind of wrapped NFT. So basically, I don't know, let's say you have an ETH NFT, which is very, very important. You could swap it to Phantasma. You can do whatever you want on Phantasma side, but technically it wouldn't be part of a real project NFT. But then if you swap it back to ETH, it gets back its original property in a sense. So anyway, my point is it involves collaboration on both sides, and no one did it before. There are no solution for NFT swaps yet.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, this is really exciting stuff. This is at the very, very cutting edge of what is possible with NFTs. And that's really what Phantasma represents. I hope everyone realizes that, because the NFT revolution is here. And I think a lot of the other projects are 2000 and late on this one.
So just to add to this, that's why also we try to define an NFT standard related specifically to metadata. So basically what composes an NFT, like the name, image, and such. We did a custom one from Phantasma, but it's 99% similar to NEO and ETH NFT standard. For the same reason is that when we want to enable NFT swaps, the change required would be very minor, because all the chains interoperable with Phantasma will have the same standard somehow.
That is exciting. That is exciting. And as far as the tokenomics, how much does it cost to mint, or how much will it cost when this solution goes live for the self-minting? And then I also want you to compare that with the fee that is, you know, how much of that is charged by Ghost Market, which is the DApp, the decentralized application, doing the self-minting, and how much is the actual fee on the chain, in case there are developers out there who maybe want to make their own solution. Maybe they want to be the next Rarible and do this on Phantasma. So
at the chain level, it costs $0 to mint an NFT.
Wow.
What has a cost is the network fee. So on ETH, it's very expensive. It's, I don't know, it depends a lot, but I'd say around $5 per transaction. So
I've spent as much as $11 one time.
Yeah, or even worse.
Yeah.
But so it also depends what ETH standard you use. If you use ERC 721, which is one mint per transaction, that's it. You pay $5-ish per NFT. But since 2 years, I now have ERC 1155, and you can mint an infinite amount of NFT at once for a single cost. It's only solving half of the problem, because when you want to transfer this NFT, you still have the same issue. If you have 1,000 people which are buying your NFT, it's 1,000 transactions. So it's better than ERC 721, but not perfect. On Phantasma, so basically the cost itself is very, very low. It's about 0.002 kcal per NFT mint.
Yeah, 0.002. Let's just that's, and right now 1 kcal is under a cent. So that is an incredible bargain. It's 0.002 of a coin that is less than 1 cent, and that's the network fee.
Currently, we have a limitation, which is not a chain limitation, but a node limitation. Like basically, when a blockchain is you have many different nodes which form the basis of a blockchain, and the node communicate with each other. And we have a technical limitation on this node where you can't send more than 100 NFT per transaction. But it's a soft limitation, and we will lift this one quite soon. My point is we don't have any limitation in terms of how many NFT you can mint or how many you can send, except this one at the moment. So basically, you can batch mint / send NFT per 100 each time. That being said, transfer on Phantasma are very, very cheap, and it's a 2-second block time. So it's a half constraint for now, because worst case scenario, you can, if you want to mint 1,000 NFT, you could do 10 transactions. It's not like it's ETH where it would cost you 10 times network fees.
Yeah, that would get expensive fast. That's for sure. But still, if you look at Rarible, there's a lot of spam and copyright infringement and a lot of that. So, it's probably good to have some kind of fee, so you're not dealing with that, because anything with tech, you're dealing with that inevitable curation issue, unfortunately. And so with Ghost Market, you guys or you have set a higher fee, right? And do you know what that's going to be yet for the self minting?
Yeah. So the fee I mentioned are the chain side of things. On Ghost Market itself, we'll have a service fee, which is like basically our payroll. And we also are introducing a burn fee. Basically, what will happen is that half of the fee will go to us, and the other half will get burned, which basically is like a way for us to somehow give back to the community, because the more KKL burn, the more important it gets, because it gets less supply, and then people have to buy more, all that kind of things. So anyway, it's just one thing we thought of. Why not burn half of the fee we get? So that's one thing we are introducing to. And on the technical side of things, it's very interesting, because in the same TX, you will be basically minting, burning the fee, sending us a fee, and if you want, you can even list it on the marketplace. All of that in the same transaction.
Well, that's exciting. And I know everyone in the Ethereum world is excited, hoping that maybe EIP 1559 will pass, right? Where that would introduce this burning of half the fees. That's what everyone wants to happen, because that would totally change the tokenomics of Ethereum. But again, Phantasma is ahead of the game. It's already there, right?
Feature on Phantasma, it's already live since mainnet went live. Currently, half of all transaction fee get burned.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Given the low price of KKR and low supply, you don't see it yet. But when it gets more adoption, obviously this will amount to a much higher burn volume.
That's exciting. Yeah. Well, I'm going to try on this channel to have weekly airdrops. We're going to try to get some artists together to mint some of these and send them out to everyone who's a subscriber who's watching. That should be a lot of fun. And that's something you couldn't do with Ethereum. So I'm really excited about that. And
well, one thing I want to add related to the self-minting feature. So we added a spam prevention mechanism basically to Phantasma. Because having a very low value to a very low cost to self-mint is great, but it also adds something bad, which is attracting spammers.
All right. Like me.
Because people could basically mint thousands and thousands of NFT for without the fee itself, but it would cost them pennies,
Right.
So what we did is we introduced something, given Phantasma as a native smart contract storage. To be able to mint on Phantasma, you have to stake Sol. That's how it is currently. It's a governance value. Phantasma has an inbuilt governance system. So basically, right now, one Sol staked equals to about 40 kilobytes of storage. And depending what you put into your NFT ROM and or your contract storage, an NFT can take between 100 bytes and 2,000 bytes, for example. Anyway, my point is there is a very small, but still there. It's not a limitation. It's more a fail-safe to avoid people spam minting thousands and thousands of NFT.
That's a
And
great way to do it.
yes, and the good thing about it, it's governance-based. So if down the road we realize it's too much or we need more, we can tweak it very simply.
So, do you have an estimate of, like, say, if you were going to spam like me and send out, say, 1,000 NFTs a week or something like that?
Yeah,
How much soul would I have to do that approximately? Is that can you do the mental math on that, or is that?
yeah, I did that already. So, for example, Gori, which minted about 300,000 NFT.
Oh yeah.
For them, it would have been, with current parameter, it would have been around 15K souls staked and locked.
15K is all they would have to mint that many to have enough.
15K USD, 15K soul. So that's not even $1,000.
Right.
So it's very low. But again, the idea is not to be to refrain people from minting. It's just to have a base spam mechanism, and because also one thing important is that while you stake to get storage quota, you can't unstake this part. So it has to be very low. But you can still, if you get back the NFT, if you burn them, you get back some storage quota. So that's also a way to increase SOL usage, because basically we're introducing, people have to stake. You want to mint, you have to stake the governance token.
That's very exciting. That is, yeah. I mean, a lot of this is, I think, going to change the tokenomics of both Sol and KCal. This is really exciting.
Yes.
And so how is the curation going to work? I mean, if people are, for example, posting illegal content or copyright infringement, I guess you would have to deal with that as the person running Ghost Market. Is that?
Yeah, so we've thought about it because it's an important aspect, and we don't want to get into justice because of weird pictures happening. So it all comes down to, where do you store your data? Like I said, the concept of ROM and RAM, this is not made to store image itself. First, because it would be very expensive, and second, because of the whole thing you're mentioning. If someone was able to store, a pornographic image in ROM, it's there forever.
Right.
So it's not something we want. ROM, RAM, and contract are made for data itself, but more like bytes and 0 and 1. You don't want to store image directly. What we will be using for Ghost Market is something not new. It's what Rarible does, for example. Basically, we will be storing IPFS hash. We won't be using Phantasma storage for now, because people don't know it well enough, and because IPFS works very well for that. So what we will be doing is, when someone mints an NFT, basically we store this image on IPFS. Could be also on Phantasma storage in parallel later. And this hash itself is stored in an NFT ROM. So what it means is that we can't tweak and remove the image itself, but on the front end, we can just not show it. We can't delete the hash from the NFT, because this would go against what the blockchain is, immutable, but we can hide it somehow.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what the other platforms are doing. That's really all you can do.
There are no other way. Or the other way would be to have a mutable blockchain, which is not a blockchain. So
yeah, and any company that deals with content or any, even decentralized autonomous organization or whatever has to deal with this. And, I think, we've heard about these employees at YouTube who just sit there all day watching the most horrific stuff, and then they get PTSD. Yeah. And I guess, if you're going to have a big content powerhouse, you just, if you're going to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. I don't know. You can have some casualties of dealing with all this stuff. They're going to have to.
No, but we've thought about this. But again, I took a look around on other projects and stuff, and there are no other options. I mean, even if you were able to store everything on chain, you could still implement some kind of front-end blocking feature, but the data would still be here,
Yeah.
So
Well, actually, I think the measures that you guys have put in place are, far better than what, something like YouTube would have, right? Having to have some soul staked right away. There's going to be some kind of trail there. People are not going to want to just like post illegal content. I don't think, I hope not, but
just to clarify on that, we try to make it in a way so that it's not intrusive for end user. So at first, what we will have is that people will be able to mint on our own smart contract. So they don't have to be staking Sol. We do.
Exciting.
Yes.
Wow.
Later, we'll be introducing custom smart contract for end user, which they can deploy. And in this case, they will be the one required to stake.
Is that analogous to like when you create your own category on Rarible and you have to put in like a coin name and all of that?
Okay. If you want to deploy your own collection, it's a custom smart contract which needs, in this case, custom Sol staked. In our case, that's also why we have a service fee, which is still minor, but it's because it basically costs us a fee in terms of image hosting and in terms of Sol staking. And this fee reflects these two costs, basically.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, one last thing. We've been going for a while. I really appreciate your time. But for the viewers out there who are coders, who are developers, people who are excited about making dApps on Phantasma, if they want to go to the next level with the NFT minting and write their own dApps, where should they go for all the fun that we're having with the self-minting and all of that? Obviously, there's just so much more available, I think, right, to make custom solutions. We've seen that with 22 series and so many other things. So where is the place developers should go?
Best place would be Discord. Starting maybe next week, should have been this week, but probably next week, we'll have a full up-to-date repository documentation, which tries to explain the whole flow, because Phantasma, like you said, it has quite a lot of different features, even though all are tied together. Depending what you want to do, it's a bit different. But anyway, whether it's for building a dApp, minting NFTs, or deploying custom smart contracts, we'll have proper documentation updated. We are literally working on it this week. So we should have that next week. It's been something a lot of people have asked us, because we have this information available on GitHub, but it's not specifically structured, or maybe some stuff were not up to date because we did a lot of change on the chain side recently with ETH swap. Anyway, best place, Discord, and we'll have a central documentation point of, probably next week.
Okay, wonderful. I will put a link to that below. And that is exciting. So in a week or so, everything's going to be updated with the developer documentation. That is super exciting. Definitely want to watch for that in the Discord if you're interested in making dApps. I really appreciate your time, Vincent. Is there anything else you wanted to say about this? Is there anything I forgot to cover?
No, I'm very excited myself. I think I just learned NFT like 6 months to 1 year ago, and since then I think I've worked non-stop on NFTs, so I'm very excited about this new thing.
It's got to be one of the most exciting spaces, and what better place to witness it from than really the leader in NFT blockchain technology, Phantasma. Thank you so much, Vincent. I hope you have a wonderful time, and thanks for taking so much time. I know you're constantly developing, constantly coding, and so this probably set Phantasma back like a whole bunch. But
no, it's okay. Thank you really for having me. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much. Take care.